All right, everybody, welcome in to another live Q&A show here on Cowboy Slots. Appreciate you all tuning in tonight. You know, we've been trying to do some more live Q&As at least once a month towards the end of the month, and it's been a while since I've done that, so figured why not tonight. So welcome in, everybody. If it is your first time here, this is a live Q&A session. You guys can ask any questions you'd like to. We do get a lot of questions that come in, so I try to answer as many as possible. We'll go for about an hour or so go ahead and start lining up those questions. Before we do get started, though, a couple of quick updates. Wanted to update you guys on some new stuff happening on the channel. First being is that for the first time in a very long time, we are actually changing up our lineup. We're adding an additional day of content. So traditionally, we've always done our Sunday shows, our Sunday premiere shows, and then a video on Tuesdays and Fridays. The lineup is actually getting ready to change. We're still going to be doing the same Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday, but we're actually adding a day, and that is going to be Monday. What's Monday going to be all about? Well, it's going to be all about minimum bets and low rolling. So for those of you out there that you enjoy that low rolling content, you enjoy those minimum bets, small bank rolls, stuff like that, Monday is going to be a designated day just for that. That also being said, Sundays are going to start to transition more to the high limits. They're going to be geared more towards those high limits, those big budgets, big bankrolls, stuff like that. So there's something for everybody. We always try to offer something for everybody. We're just making it a little more cleaner. So we did make that a community post. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't done so already. We also posted it over on Facebook as well. So if you enjoy the low rolling content, Monday is going to be your day. If you enjoy the high rolling content and the jackpots and all that fun stuff, Sunday will be your day. And I hope that you stick around for both of those. And we do have some superstars with us here today. WBG's in the house. Welcome in, WBG. Appreciate you being here and for being one of the first in. Really do appreciate it. So we're going to dive right in. We're going to go ahead. We're going to start answering those questions. So like I said, go ahead, start lining up those questions, guys, and we will get to those. Let's see. Let me just scroll back up to the top here. A lot of questions coming in. All right. First question was from Simon. And Simon says, I have a strange question tonight. When I see somebody playing a game incorrectly, should I say something or to them or just watch? Well, here's the thing about that, Simon. Gambling predominantly is entertainment. A lot of people prefer to be entertained in different ways. Sometimes people play differently. They play in their own styles and manners, whatever works for them. I wouldn't interrupt them. I would just let them play how they normally do. Unless it's, a situation where, maybe they're talking to their friends or something like that. And they're like, I don't understand why I didn't get a bonus. And you notice they're not playing max bet on a game that you need to play max bet on, like Top Dollar, in order to get a bonus. But other than that, I really wouldn't intervene. I would just let them play how they normally play, because everybody has their styles and way that they like to play. And Paris says, except for the button slappers. Hey, 1999 super chat from WBG. WBG, thank you so much for that. Thank you for the live stream, Cowboy Slots. Appreciate you. Well, I do greatly appreciate you as well. Another super chat here from Jonathan, $1.99. Thank you so much, guys. We really do appreciate it. All right. Let's get one of these other questions pulled up here. A question here from Brett. Why does it seem that high limit slot channels seem to win the grands and super wins more than the average player? Good question. Really, they don't win more grands. I haven't seen many of them hit grand jackpots. Most of the slot channels out there, they post losses as well, but you also have to take into account that most of these people play every day. It's a job for them. They're going in with the higher budget than a normal slot player. They're going in more frequently than a normal slot player. They're playing longer hours than a normal slot player. So by the probability and statistics, they're going to have a better chance naturally, just because they're there more, they're there longer, and they have a bigger budget to sustain it. But they don't win grands more than the average player does. I have seen plenty of average players hit grands just as much, sometimes more, than a lot of these other channels. But very good question. Cali Swag says, I'm sipping champagne in an airplane. Let's go. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you doing that. License to Play has a question here. I know pick bonuses are predetermined, but what about the hold and spins? Are those predetermined? Because uh, you, it always seems you can tell you won't get the grand because one slot is always empty. So this is a good question. So you are 100% correct. Most pick bonuses are predetermined. There are a couple of pick bonuses out there that are not predetermined. One of those actually being Cleopatra 2. When you pick the 3 boxes, that is not predetermined. And also Pharaoh's Fortune, where you go through and you pick all of those squares. Those are not predetermined either. But most pick bonuses today, those are predetermined. Free spins are not predetermined. So what happens in a situation like, we'll use Dragon Link, for example, where you go into a hold and spin. So typically when you're in normal gameplay, you're playing on a game that has 5 reels. But when you go into that hold and spin, each of those squares become their own independent reels. So now instead of 5 reels, you are now playing 15 reels. The problem with that is to get 15 of anything to line up is very, very difficult. And one of those tends to be the one that looks blank. All that is it is a very, very long virtual reel strip. So there might only be one symbol on there. It is still possible there is a symbol on there. But it's very, very difficult to hit that last spot, especially when you only have 3 spins or so to do it. Now, here's the other thing too. A lot of times people think that if the square is blank, that means that you're not going to get it. And that is actually not true. There does not have to be anything there. I myself have won a grand jackpot where the square was blank and then it just randomly shows up. It's just a matter of getting it to hit at the right time. So just because it's blank, don't count yourself out because it can come back. They do come back. I believe Stacy's High Limit Slots has a video as well where she hit the grand on Big Hot Flaming Pots, which is very difficult to do. And that last dumpling did come out, even though that square was blank for the longest time. So don't count yourself out with that. It can come back for sure, but very, very good question. And super chat here from Jonathan 499. Thanks so much. Really do appreciate it. What do you think about the nudge slots? Are they high in volatility or low? Good question. So with the nudge slots, a lot of them, I actually kind of enjoy the dynamic of the nudge slots. I think they're a lot of fun. The nudge feature does not add any volatility to it whatsoever. So what it is, the reels, the final resting place of the reels after the nudge, that part has already been determined when you initiate the spin. The nudging part is just basically the anticipation, the buildup of it getting to its result that it already determined. So it does not add any additional volatility. So for example, we can look at classic one, Double Diamond and Double Diamond Deluxe. Both of those pay tables are the same. Both of those games actually operate in the same way. The only difference is, of course, one has a nudge feature and one does not. So the volatility is not going to be any different on those games. So you don't have to worry about that. But I like the nudge games. I think the dynamic of them is pretty cool. But very good question. And once again, thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Let's see. And PCFL 19. I hope I said that correctly. I hope I got that correctly. Tech at my local casino said when they change the internals, it can change the payouts. Any truth to that? Because it does seem like games that used to hit more are hitting less. So first of all, what internals are we talking about? If there's no internals on a slot machine that need to be changed unless they're changing to a different game theme. And even in that case, there's not even internals that need to be changed other than just the program on it. Most cabinets today that are out there, you can change between game types just by putting in different software. All it is inside of a slot machine is just a computer. It's a regular computer unit, modified a little bit for security purposes, of course. But no, unless they're changing the game title. If they're changing the game title to a newer game or a different version of the game, yes, it can be changed because it has different pay tables that it is pulling from. But a pretty vague question with not a lot of detail. So it's hard to say on that, but short term is no. Really short basic answer is no, unless of course they're changing the game title. That would be the only other thing. And Cyrus 499 super chat, guys, thank you so much for the super chats. Really do appreciate those. Thank you for all you do, Cowboy. I've learned so much from your videos, and your intel truly has improved my casino play experience. Well, thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. And also want to give a very big special thank you to our moderators, Bobby Earl, and everybody else, everything that you guys do. Really do appreciate all of your help. Danny Oceans has a question here. When playing in a slot tournament where you need to spin and tap the screen, is there any strategy for winning? Or is it just a matter of getting a good machine? Good question. So, the only strategy with a slot tournament is just move as fast as you possibly can. Because in a slot tournament, you have a countdown timer, and your goal is to get more points than anybody else. So, the faster you can move in a slot tournament, the better. The results are still, 100% random, but the faster you move can improve your chances. But other than that, still going to be a random result. It's just a matter of speed when it comes to those slot tournaments. Tina has a question here. Can casinos disable the bonus? No, they cannot. The casino has no control over bonuses or payout, when it's going to pay, or anything like that. The game is going to play how the game is going to play. The casino cannot alter the programming of the game. There is not an option to turn off bonuses or turn off wins or anything like that. That is 100% a myth. Not the first time I've heard that, though. So good question, bringing that up. Really do appreciate it. And thank you, Bobby, for gifting those memberships. And Troy over on Facebook has a question. Hey, Brantley, how do I go into the casino with $200 and boost my winnings? So, well, a pretty in-depth, long answer to that. Can you do it? Yes, but you also have to understand too, the lower budget that you have, the harder it's going to be for you. Also, what is the goal? Boost your winnings by $20, boost your winnings by double. It really, in this situation, in this scenario, and the lower budget that you have, the more cautious you have to be about this. If you have a bigger budget or you're a high limit player, it gets a little bit different. But if you have something like $200 or $100, you want to start out really slow on a game that is very, very simple and very straightforward. Your older games, your classic games, your games that don't have a lot going on, not a lot of progressives, bonuses, not very high in volatility games. You want to start with something that's more classic and more geared towards that budget, or video poker. If you're a video poker player, that's always a good one as well. And slowly start to work your way up. And then what I would say is, once you get over the $200 point, if you start, turn your 200 into 300, 300 into 400, something like that, then you can start building up from that point, kind of raising your bet, trying some different machines, and go from there. But if you do have a lower budget, say like $200 or something like that, just have to be careful and really manage your money and manage your time. That's going to be the biggest thing with that in order to turn it into really good profits. So good question. Question here from Mark. Do you believe there are certain number of spins to prove a machine? I see so many sitting down to play like 5 spins and leaving. So the thing is guys, every spin on a slot machine is going to be a separate independent result. There is absolutely nothing in any programming of any slot machine that exists other than Scarab. Scarab is the only one, and it tells you right on the screen you are on spin whatever out of 10. It runs on a 10 spin cycle, where on the 10th spin everything turns wild. But that is, again, clearly on the screen as such, and that is part of the game. Aside from that, there is no slot machine, there is no program, there is no other program, there is nothing about it that can make a spin any different than a normal standard result. You're going to have the same chances on every single spin. Also, here's another fun fact. A machine cannot differentiate between who is sitting at it. So it might be 5 spins for you, but that machine doesn't care. The machine has no concept that it's something new or something different. It's just running all of its sequences as it normally does in its normal lifespan. There's nothing about it that's like, okay, well, this person did 5 spins, so now I'm going to pay something here to, keep them playing. No, slot machines do not do that. You can get very lucky on the first spin, and you can get a bonus. It does not mean that the machine is due or hot or anything like that. It happens. That is part of randomness. But there is nothing in a programming on any slot machine that tells it to do anything different or realize that it's somebody, this player's third spin or whatever. So no, that's no truth to that. But good question. And I apologize if I'm just looking down here. We got a lot of questions rolling in, which, by the way, guys, also just to let you know, if I don't get to your question, we do have our website, which I'll put up here on the screen, ropethejackpot.com. It's 100% free and interactive to use, and it does have a chat forum on there. You guys can talk back and forth, and I'm on there as well. You can ask a bunch of questions. So visit that website because there's also a lot of really good guides and stuff like that on there. Okay. So we got a bunch of questions rolling in. Really do appreciate that. Troy says, what do you think about screen slappers? These people really think that slapping the machine is going to yield them a result. I'm going to give you a very, very sad truth. And this is 100% true. This is coming from a casino employee. I have seen this firsthand. When you work at a casino, like I have, and you see somebody and they're tapping the screen or they're slapping the button or they're just going crazy on the machine, that immediately tells me and all the other employees that you are desperate and have no money. That is what you're giving off. So if you are sitting at a machine and you are slapping the screen and clawing at it like a cat or smacking the button or doing something like that, that basically tells everybody around you that you're desperate. And it's not a good look. It's not. So that's what I think. I mean, it's a common thing in the casino industry. We see it all the time. People that are, if we see somebody, like if we have, players doing that at a slot machine or anything like that, we look at them like, man, that person really needs to get some help because that acting a little crazy. But if they break the machine, that goes into a different realm. We would actually track them down and charge them for that. Or like, let's say if they break a machine and then they come in and hit a jackpot, this is something that has happened before. If they come in and they break a machine and then let's say they come back and they happen to hit a jackpot, they're not going to get paid. They'll take their jackpot. All right. So yeah, if you're a screen slapper, button slapper, screen tapper, whatever, just know that that is the vibe that you give off. And if you break the machine, you probably won't get paid. Let's see. Question here from Karen. My casino just got Thunder Cash. How hard is it to hit the bonus? Thunder Cash can be pretty difficult, but it's not in the realm of impossible. The bonus frequency on it is lower than a lot of the other games, but it still is fairly frequent. I mean, it's pretty much on par and average, especially when you compare it to a lot of the newer games and newer slot machines that are coming out these days that are, very difficult to get the bonus on. Thunder Cash isn't that bad. I enjoy Thunder Cash, but yeah, it can be pretty difficult to get the bonus on. Okay. And Steven says, how does the bingo card slots vary for randomness? So this is actually a really, really good question. So bingo-based slot machines. Let me take that banner off the screen there. Bingo-based slot machines. So when you are playing a bingo-based game, you are not playing against a random number generator. So the biggest difference that I always tell people is with a slot machine, it is you versus the machine. You push the button, the machine makes the decision. The machine is going to pull out a result from the RNG, which is going to pull from the pay table and display you a result. It is you versus the machine. With a bingo machine, it is you versus everybody else that is playing on that bingo server at the time. It is a group game. So you are playing bingo with other people. You have different cards on your machines, but you and multiple other people are pulling bingo balls from the same server. It's just like the bingo game. Whoever gets bingo first or whoever matches a particular pattern gets a prize or a bigger prize or a smaller prize, whatever the case may be. Is it still random? Yes, it is just a different form of randomness. It is just where the machine is not determining the result, but a bingo server is determining the result. It is not any worse or less to play. Um, I enjoy bingo games. Sometimes you can win bigger prizes on those games than you can on a regular slot machine. But that is the main difference, is just the fact that with a bingo based game, you are playing against a group of people for a shared or a pooled prize. And the bingo server is, spitting out the balls for multiple people. And that's how the result gets read, as opposed to on a slot machine, it's just you versus the random number generator. So that's the biggest one with that. Let's see. And Cracker JT TV, do you still live in Wyoming or whatnot, or do you live in Vegas now? No, I still live in Wyoming. I still live in Wyoming. I like my quiet life up here. Vegas is a little too busy for me. And welcome to new member John. Appreciate you becoming a member. And Karen says, I used your method for bankroll building and I built up $90 to 300, then built that up to 600, and then built that up to 3130. That is awesome. Congratulations on doing that. I'm so glad that that's working out for you. Just remember, you can't win every time. That's the biggest thing, is you can't win every time. So just always remember that. Okay. And let me go back through. Keep those questions rolling in, guys. Appreciate it. And Diane says, is a maxed out major on Dragon Link or Phoenix Link just a ploy to keep you betting more money? This is a good question. The answer to that is, I would say it's a mix between yes and no. So the only advantage to playing a game that has a maxed out major is if you happen to hit the major, you're going to get the biggest amount. The odds do not change because the major is bigger or maxed out. All that is a cap that number stops at. That is the maximum prize that is allowed, that the machine will allow to be paid out to the player. But what happens on the back end, as you're playing and you're actually still adding to that progressive, but you're not seeing it add to that progressive. What it's doing is it's adding it onto the next progressive. So this is how a lot of times, and I'm sure you've probably seen this before, where somebody will hit a maxed out major on, say, Dragon Link, and then it resets back to a maxed out point. The reason for that is because so many people continued to play it and chase it that it built up that progressive in the back end. So when it does reset, it's going to reset at the cap all over again. This is also why when you do see a progressive reset, sometimes it does not always reset to the same amount. Sometimes it will reset to the base amount. Other times it'll reset to different amounts because of the amount that has been played through it. Is it a ploy to get you to play more? I wouldn't say it's a ploy. But just do not let a maxed out major trick you into think that you're going to have better odds on that game because it is maxed out. The only benefit to playing it being maxed out is if you hit it, you're going to get a bigger amount than the other games that don't have a maxed out major. But very good question. Really appreciate that. And like I said, guys, keep those questions rolling in. Really do appreciate it. Think I kind of skipped over a couple questions here, so I'm trying to go all the way back and see here. See, from Corey, is it a red flag for a game if a casino has a ton of units of the same game everywhere? I would say no. The only thing, so this one, I'm going to say no, but I'm also going to say the thing about this is there's a lot of casinos out there that you hear this all the time where people say this casino is tight and nobody ever wins here. But you look around on the floor and that casino has opted to really just go to the higher end volatility scale where every single game that they have is one of the brand new games that is very, very difficult. I'll just toss an example out there. Say, for example, there was a casino that they decided that they just wanted to have 300 games of Wolf Peak. Well, Wolf Peak is extremely difficult. they're going to make very good money on it, but most likely people aren't going to come back and play it because Wolf Peak is a very, very difficult game to play. But if a casino had that and that was their MO to just go all high volatility, it would feel like that casino is very tight. But in reality, it's just because they picked a whole bunch of a really, really bad game to put in there. That really isn't common. Most casinos do a very good job to try to balance it out and have something for everybody. They'll have a mix of the high volatility, some low volatility, middle range, stuff like that, different bet levels. I will say this though, most of the casinos today, especially the newer ones, the classic games, if you're looking for just classic three reel, like I just want to find a quarter double diamond machine, uh, pretty much good luck at that point. There's not very many of them left out there. They're not really coming back. So that's another thing we have to look at and consider. That's another main reason why a lot of times folks think that a casino is a lot more difficult to win at now. Like you'll hear people say, well, back in the 90s, I used to win all the time and now I don't. Well, back in the 90s, they had very, very simple games with not a lot going on. They didn't have all of these crazy games that we have today that are much more difficult and take more money to get yield the same result. So that's another big difference on that. But great question. You guys have some good questions tonight. So thank you very much. And Ryan says, does machine volatility change whether you bet higher or lower? Is it a set rating regardless? So this is a very good question with a very detailed answer. And I will try to go over, I'm going to try to simplify this as best I can. In general, so let's start with the basics. The first thing being volatility is not a setting. So volatility is not something that is adjusted by the casino. Volatility is just how that game is designed to play out. Now, the flip side to that is there are a lot of games that have either they pull from different pay tables depending on your bet level, or there's different options available at different bet levels. Let's take pinball, for example. So pinball, if you look at the traditional game of pinball, you're playing a 3-credit version. If you play 3 credits, you get 5 shots. If you play 1 credit, you get 1 shot. That does change up the volatility and how it plays because now you are giving up part of the bonus by not betting max bet. So that is also going to change your volatility a little bit. You'll also see a lot of other games out there where sometimes it'll even say on the screen, like, odds have changed, odds of winning have changed when you change the bet level because they're pulling from different pay tables. There are some games that are like that. And that can also change the volatility a little bit. And again, volatility is how the game is supposed to play out. It's how it feels to you in your individual session. How does this game play? How does it get to that RTP point? It has nothing to do with RTP. RTP and volatility are two separate things, but RTP is the result. Volatility is the how it gets to that result. Some games, the volatility does change based on how you are playing it. And also, again, like I said, this is a very long and detailed answer. I'm trying to simplify it as best as I can. You also have to consider the fact that volatility goes in tandem with your budget. So, for example, if you walk into the casino with $20, everything in the world is going to feel high in volatility to you, even Double Diamond would, because you have a very, very low budget. Now, the bigger budget you get and the more money you have to throw around, less volatility for you and your experience. So you also have to consider that. But very, very long question, or long answer to a short question. So it's a very good question. Does machine volatility change whether you bet higher or lower? The answer to that portion is it depends. It depends on the game. Some games, yes, some games, no. Is it a set rating regardless in terms of machine testing? When a machine is new and it goes through its third-party testing, they do have a rating. They do have a volatility index that is on the par sheet. However, that rating, it could be different ratings for different settings, for example. So that part is also true. So a lot of aspects to this question, but a very good question. Very good question. Gambelina, I like that name. Do casinos buy or rent the slot machines? Very good question. Pretty simple answer on this one. Most of the machines today in today's casino, they are rented. So what it's called is it's called a participation game. Participation game, it's normally done on industry standards an 80-20 split. So basically what that means is the game maker will provide the machine to the casinos. They come in, they set the machine up, they service it. Casino doesn't even have to touch it. And that's the other thing. A lot of times, like, casino will get new games in, and people will be like, oh, the casino's adjusted this to be loose or tight or whatever. Casino didn't even touch that. That was the game maker. The game maker puts it in. That's called a participation game. Then what happens is the casino retains 80% and the game maker gets 20%. That's basically their rent payment, their lease payment. So that's what that's called. Most casinos run on a participation. Most casinos run majority a participation floor at this point, just because it's easier, it's cheaper, they don't have to maintain it, they're guaranteed. If a game's not performing, the game maker will come in and swap it out for them. So that's typically what it is today in today's standard. Very good question. Colin says, do you ever think casinos would put a volatility rating on the machine? So this one, couple answers to this one. First, no, I don't think they would. Much like the RTP thing and the RTP reasoning, most players, 99% of players that walk in the door, they're not going to understand what that means. But the other thing is it really more falls back on the game maker as opposed to the actual operator, the casino. Would an operator or would a game maker put a volatility rating in like the game rules? Probably not. They probably would not do that. But this also kind of goes into a lot of people honestly give casinos way too much credit. I know it's easy. Most people out there, when you walk into a casino, you see the machine and you see the casino. But the truth is there's a lot more behind it than just the casino. The casino is not this all-knowing, all-powerful, control all everything entity. They're not. There's a lot of things that casinos don't do. A lot of very basic things that casinos don't do, including things like, even now we just talked about participation games. Participation games are 100% taken care of by the manufacturer. The manufacturer comes in and does everything. The casino is just providing the building and the location for them to do it. So stuff like that, excuse me. A lot of times, which, no fault to the players, but I think players give casinos way too much credit for. They really don't do that much, guys. The casinos do not have this all magical, powerful control over everything like people think that they do. Let's see. All right. And again, guys, apologize. We got about 500 people watching right now, which is fantastic. So, and do keep those questions rolling in. I'll do my best to pull them, but we get a lot of questions that come in, and the program that I use kind of jumbles them up. So if I'm missing questions, it's not that I'm ignoring you or anything like that. Okay. JM says, is there a database somewhere which would tell a player what machines are in specific casinos? Yes and no. So no, in the sense of there is not like one masterful place to do it. However, there are a couple options. So I know, I believe Light and Wonder has a game locator on their website. So if you're trying to find particular Light and Wonder games, best thing to do is always just call the casino and ask. Most casinos are pretty cool with just letting you know if they have a game or don't have a game. The other thing, and again, hey, shameless plug here, but I'm posting our website address again. So we have on our website, it is a 100% free to use chat forum, and there are different forums for every single state, even international. So if you're watching this from Canada, Australia, whatever, there's stuff on this website for you guys. You can go, so say for example, if you're looking for a casino in Atlantic City and you want to know if they have, pinball, for example, you can actually go on there, click on New Jersey, ask the question, say, hey, I'm coming to Atlantic City. What casinos have this game? And then people that live there will come on and respond to you and let you know where those games are. So website, it's free to use, ropethejackpot.com. Had to plug that. I got to say, that's probably a pretty good resource for you guys to use. All right. And Blues Player has a good question. Given the choice to play at a casino with RNG machines or a casino with VLTs, which would you choose? And does it make a difference? Good question. So, my choice, hands down, is going to be the one with traditional slot machines, which is going to be your RNG based machines. The reason being is VLT, it does provide, obviously a form of randomness, but the problem is everything in front of you. So like the glass, the game, and stuff like that, it is essentially just a dummy. There's nothing for you to gauge what you're truly playing, because what you're sitting in front of is not the game that you're actually playing. You're playing a virtual lottery, and everything in front of you is just a bells and whistles visual, kind of like bingo. Doesn't make it bad. You can still win good money on it. But I like to be able to look at what I'm actually playing, and look to see I'm playing against an actual machine. I'm not playing against a lottery pool. I'm not playing against a bingo pool or anything like that. That's why I would pick that. But very good question. And Mike says, "Hey Brantley, it's my birthday today. Well, happy birthday to you, Mike. Finally turned 40 years old. Just wanted to ask you a question on slot machine RTP. That's spend a long time on the floor. Is it mostly small wins or big wins? So, that's a very loaded question. I mean, happy birthday. I really do appreciate that. But so again, RTP. I'll kind of summarize this because I think we've hammered RTP a lot on the channel, and I will say. And I'll just say this again, RTP is the biggest thing that is misunderstood with slot players. Everybody says RTP payback percentage. What is it? The only reason why you hear that so much is because I think, honestly, that's the only thing that people really know. That's the only thing that they would think to ask is RTP and payback percentage. It does not matter to you in your individual session when you go to a casino. It doesn't, because it is a long-term aggregate that includes you and everybody else that touches that machine. Wasn't quite sure about the wording on your question, Mike. I apologize for that, but don't focus on RTP. Really easy and simple. Don't focus on RTP. It's not going to help you at all. You could know. So for example, let's just say you knew, for example, you have two machines. One is set at 99% and the other one is set at 87. And your natural thought is, aha, I'm going to play the one that's 99. And guys, this is why casinos don't publish this information. I'm going to play this one because this one's 99 and this one over here is 87. Doesn't do a damn bit of good for you to know that information. You're not going to win more because it's 99%, because that's just you are just one of the millions and millions and millions of spins that is accounting for. So you could go to the one that's 99% and you could completely get wiped and lose your ass, or you could go to the one that's 87% and win the biggest jackpot of your life. That's not the focal point that you should be focusing on. And it's something that a lot of people really, really misunderstand about slots. It is not the only thing that goes into a slot machine. It is not the only thing that goes into the math or the creation of a slot machine, but it's the only thing that people talk about, and it's the least important thing. The most important thing is going to be your budget and the volatility of the game. Again, the volatility is how does it get to that RTP point. So I just want to added some context there for you there. Really do appreciate it. And John says, how does self-pay work when you hit a taxable jackpot? So self-pay is a pretty cool thing. Basically what it is you have to pre-sign your W2G. So if you are a high limit player, and this is more commonly found in high limit rooms, if you are a high limit player and you know for a fact you're going to be hitting a lot of jackpots, you can sign up for self-pay. And self-pay, basically, you're going to sign one time, and that's going to sign for all of your W2Gs for that 24-hour day. That's what self-pay is. So when you put it into the machine, basically, at the end of the day, you can get all of your W2Gs at once, or you can get them. Some casinos, which this is really cool. I believe Peppermill does this, where they can actually combine them as an aggregate into one. which is also pretty cool. So that's all Selfpay is. It's an optional program that you can sign up for if you are planning on hitting a lot of jackpots. And again, it's more common for high limit players. If you're going in and you're playing pennies, you don't need to worry about it. But if you're going in and you're betting like 50, $100 a spin, probably sign up for Selfpay. It'll make your life a lot easier and that. But good question on that. Hector has a good question. What steps do you take when a player disputes a payout? So we actually did a whole video on this, but it was a while back. So if you guys want to, if you are interested, go back through the video library and check out that video. It was a couple of years ago, so it's been a long time. So I'll kind of recap. Um, the biggest thing is try to take care of it in house first. The casino doesn't like disputes any more than you do, so try to take care of it in house first. And then at that point, you also do have the gaming commission that you can go to if you're not satisfied with the result. But the biggest thing I will say, if you do find yourself in a situation where there is a dispute, stay calm. Don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole. That's just going to make your situation worse. And try to work it out with the casino because, again, they don't like that any more than you do. But very good question. Okay. Jay Trooper says, "What is the best top dollar to play?" So depending on your budget, it's either going to be regular top dollar or double top dollar. They do have new versions now that are the 5 line or the 9 line version. Those are okay. The 5 line version is actually pretty good. I prefer the 9 line version. Something simple like that. All the top dollars are pretty good to play. There's not really one that's really better than the other. But I like the double top dollar. I like the 5 line and 9 line versions myself. And Tony Ann, you're welcome. Don't be a dick. Great advice. Yeah, that's advice that most people need to take in their life. Barry says, if RTP doesn't matter, then why have different RTP settings? So good question. RTP does not matter to you at all. And again, guys, I'm honestly like at this point, like I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm tired of having this RTP debate. It doesn't do you any damn good whatsoever to know RTP information about a slot machine. Um, RTP is there for the casino because the casino, you're going to come in for, an hour or so or a couple hours and you're going to sit and play a slot machine. Congratulations. RTP is not there for you. RTP is there for the casino because they want to know what percentage they're going to make when that machine sits on their floor for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be. That is what that setting is there for. So if the casino can choose, say, for example, if they can choose to set one at 87% as opposed to 89%, then they're going to get a 2% increase in their revenue over the next 10 million spends, 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be. That's the only reason why there's different settings for RTP. And again, has nothing to do with you as the individual player. So just always keep that in mind. How do you feel about bubble craps? It can be a fun game, honestly. Like bubble craps, um, I don't personally play it, to be honest. I don't really find craps that entertaining. I used to a while ago, but I don't really find craps very entertaining anymore. Bubble craps, still a good game to play. I've worked on bubble craps machines. It's funny because I have one around here somewhere. I have one of the dice from the bubble craps machines. A lot of people think, oh, they're weighted or they've got something in them or the machine has magnets. It does not. It does not. I've worked on many of those machines. It does not have weights. It does not have magnets. It does not have anything like that. In fact, the computer system, when I used to plug my laptop into these devices to actually do the programming on bubble craps machines, and we would start running tests, the computer does not even read the dice until they fully land and fall flat. Then the computer reads the result. So that the actual dice is not the control aspect of the game. The control aspect is in what you're able to do when you're playing the game, what you're able to bet, how much you're able to bet, stuff like that. So that's where the control aspect comes into play. But the actual dice themselves are not controlled. So the bubble craps machines, they're fine. I just personally don't find them that entertaining. Question from Suzanne. Are linked slots independent or actually linked to the same casino linked slots or even further linked with other establishments? So, good question. So, progressives can be linked. Progressives can be linked, but not gameplay. That is the biggest thing to keep in mind. Not gameplay. The machines still have to act independently. They still have to pull the results from the machine itself. It's you versus the machine. So when you're playing on a bank of machines, and we'll just say Dragon Link, and they're all linked and they're all sharing the same progressives, the progressives are linked through what is called a progressive controller. The progressive controller only shares progressive data. So as you're playing, you're putting a little piece towards that progressive. It goes to the progressive controller, which tells the other units what to display, and it's doing the math and calculating how much everybody is adding in an aggregate to those progressives. So that is what that is there for. But as for like the individual play, so as you're playing, the result that you're getting on the screen, that is determined just on that machine. So that machine is still acting independently. The only difference is that progressive is shared. So I hope that helps to answer that question, the question that you have. Let's see. And again, guys, got a lot of good questions coming in, so really do appreciate it. Todd says, "What are your thoughts on physical casinos versus online casinos?" Um, and there was I'll also get this other question too, because Ruth had pretty much the same question here. How do you feel about online gambling, and what games do you recommend? So I'm going to tackle both of these at the same time. And this is also a really, really good PSA time. So let me answer the questions first, and then I'll get into my PSA. Um, you have to make a big distinction between what is legitimate and what is not legitimate when you are playing online. I do not at all, there is no fiber of my being that would recommend that you put your bank account information on the internet to an online casino establishment unless it is legal in your state. And right now, there's only like 6 or 7 states that it's actually legal. It is regulated through your state, and it is a legitimate brand. Right now, there are very, very few. You can literally count them on one hand. There are very few that are actually fully licensed, fully regulated, fully legitimate. Those are going to be FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesars, all of that. Those are legitimate. If I always tell people this, if you want to know if online gambling is legal where you live, go to FanDuel and input your information. And if FanDuel tells you no, but some other website tells you yes, you've just answered your own question. So always keep that in mind. Only play online games if it is legal in your state, regulated by your state, and legitimate. Guys, there are thousands of websites that are scam sites for casinos online. Thousands. And there are more and more that are popping up every single day. And this is where my PSA comes in. My PSA is this. Recently, there has been a ton, and it had not just happening with our channel here, but it's happened with other channels as well. It has happened with several channels that I know. AI is getting crazy, guys. There have been a lot of channels out there that have been using AI of, voice modifications and stuff like that to make it look like somebody is saying something and they're not. So my PSA is this. I do not endorse any online real money casino gaming at all, period. At all. If you see anything online that says that, Cowboy Slots says play this online, that is false and that is fake. So you have heard it from me here, and we have said that many times, but there are more and more that are popping up every single day. And they're using influencers to do that. And a lot of times the influencers are AI generated now. They're not even actually saying that. So just be careful. It has happened with my channel. It has happened with a lot of other channels that I have seen this happen to. So just know if it's online casino gambling, we don't endorse it, period, at all. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. And Design Knob says, happy to live in New Jersey with lots of legitimate online casinos. Yes, New Jersey is one of those states that it is 100% legal and regulated. But you still, here's my other PSA with this while we're on this topic. You still want to be cautious with that, because here's the thing. Casinos are all about being successful at gaming, is all about knowing when to stop and knowing when to walk away. When you go to a physical casino, you can stand up, you can walk away. But when you have the casino on your fingertips at your house, and you can just be on it when you're laying in bed, when you're in the bathroom, when you're cooking dinner, stuff like that, um, it can go south very, very quickly. So just also keep that in mind too. Even if it's legal in your state, even if it's legal in your area, take some caution with it, because it can be very, very hard to walk away. All right. And Doberman Rage says, would you say that machines pay out more in the evening than any other time of day? I will say this: slot machines do not give a shit about what time of day it is. They don't care. A slot machine does not care what time of day it is. It does not adjust its payout. It does not adjust whether there's more money that comes into the machine or anything like that. Every spin is an independent result. Again, slot machines run on a mathematic principle known as the law of large numbers. It takes time. So there's going to be times when a machine might be paying a lot of money. And then there's going to be times when the machine is just losing a lot of money. A lot of times people say this is hot and cold. Does it feel like that sometimes? Yes, it can feel like that sometimes. This is not a programmed aspect into the machine. It is part of randomness. That is part of the mathematical principle of the law of large numbers. Just because if you feel like, if you feel like you've got to, go on a, go the Monday after the weekend because people have put a lot of money in the machines and they're due, that's 100% false information. 1,000% false information. There's nothing about a programming of a slot machine that changes. All that is just confirmation bias, essentially. And the other thing too is you are not an omnipresent being. You cannot see the operation of that slot machine 24/7, 365. So let's say, for example, if you tell me, well, I always win on Fridays because I go on Fridays and I always win. Okay, what other days do you go to the casino? Do you go there Monday? No. Tuesday? No. Wednesday? No. Are you there at 3 in the morning on a Saturday? No. Well, then how the hell do you know that that's the best day to play? Because you're not there all the time. So, that's another thing. It's called confirmation bias. Um, there is nothing. I'm telling you this from 100% factual standpoint. There is absolutely nothing in any programming of any slot machine or any casino that a payout is going to change because of the time of the day. That is 100% false. It is confirmation bias. Go whenever you want. You're going to have the same results no matter what time you go. So just keep that in mind. And Chris says, I've been hearing more and more that you control the outcomes with the timing of your button presses due to RNG. Is this true? Um, so yes and no. So in a basic sense, and I'll give you the answer to both of those. The RNG determines the stopping point of the reels the second that you hit the spin button, the microsecond that you hit the spin button. So the RNG is constantly running and you hit the spin button, and then the RNG stops and it spits out a result. Had you waited 2 seconds to hit that button, could you have generated a different result? It's possible. But this is also where, honestly, when I hear people say that, oh, I'm going to change my timing by fast stopping the game or whatever. Honestly, all I hear out of that is just absolute ignorance of how fast people don't understand microprocessors run. These microprocessors are running thousands of calculations a millisecond. They're incredibly fast. Your hands are not that fast. So what timing are you exactly changing? You're not. You have no idea. Could you change your timing? Could you get a different result? Yes. Is it going to be a better result? Probably not. Is it going to be a worse result? You don't know. You don't know. Those microprocessors run insanely fast so that they can get a as close to random result as they possibly can. Um, so when I hear people, that'll say something like, "Oh, well, if I fast tap it, it's going to change up the timing." You know what else changes up the timing? Stopping and going and taking a break. That also changes up the timing. So, the same can be said in both directions. So the thing is um, will it yield you a different result? The answer is yes. Do you know if it's better or worse? The answer is no. You don't. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. Teresa says, if each denom has its own RNG, how many dead spins per denom should you try before changing denoms, or would it even matter? It wouldn't really even matter. There's only one RNG per slot machine. There are different pay tables that it can pull from depending on your bet level, depending on your denom. There are different pay tables that the RNG can pull from, but each machine only has one RNG. However many dead spins you want to sit through, that's entirely up to you. That's entirely your call. Keep in mind that there are a lot of games out there that have more dead spins than others do. So, for example, Huff and Even More Puff, that game can be dead spin city because it pretty much is just most of the payout is going to be in the bonus. It's not going to be in the line hits. Um, Same with even Big Hot Flaming Pots, and I love that game. I love the game of Big Hot Flaming Pots, but most of the payout is going to be in the bonus. So it's one of those games if you kind of either get the bonus or you're screwed. But however long of dead spins that you want to sit through, that's entirely up to you. But again, the machine's not counting spins or anything like that. The machine doesn't know, and the machine doesn't care. So good question though. Really appreciate that. And thank you very much, Marsh. Appreciate it. Seymour says, what advice would you give to someone who's wanting to become a slot technician? Um, if you're wanting to become a slot tech, the biggest thing is get start start get to know people at your casino. Like if you're applying for a job, start getting to know people at your casino. And probably the biggest piece of advice I would give is uh, slot casinos look for slot technicians typically that have some kind of experience already working with electronics. There are different levels of slot tech too. You've got bench tech, you have bench tech, you have field tech, you have a lot of different versions of slot techs out there. So the more machinery that you can work on, the better. I know one of the technicians that I used to work at, she used to be a jet aircraft mechanic. And she worked on jet engines. So that's kind of the experience that they want to see. Not, you don't have to work on jet engines, but as long as you've worked with some kind of machinery or equipment or something like that, doesn't have to be heavy machinery. It can be other computers or something. They'll look at something like that. That would be the biggest advice. Do you like playing table games? I do. I do enjoy playing table games. I actually played them the other day. I sat and I played this different version of, it's a different version of UTH over at Montego Bay. Which, by the way, guys, if you're ever curious on where we're going to be next, because this is a common question that we get asked a lot, is when are you going to come to X casino or where are you going to be? All of that information is posted on our website before we ever put it in a video or say anything. So again, I'm putting the link right up here, ropethejackpot.com. It's on the very front main page. You can keep track of where we're going to be for the next month or so. That will update quicker than you'll see it on any video or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. And also, since we've been going for about an hour, just kind of want to recap here for those of you that are just now coming in. We are changing our schedule. We're adding something entirely new. We are adding a new show. This is going to happen on June 30th. Mondays, typically we don't broadcast on Mondays, but we are going to start. Mondays are going to be for minimum bets. So if you are a fan of the minimum bets, low bankroll, it's just going to be a fun stream. It's going to be a fun stream where we do minimum bets, low budgets, penny games, stuff like that. The average bankroll. Mondays are for you. That is what we're going to focus on Mondays. That being said, Sundays are going to start to transition to the high limit days. So that way there is going to be something for everybody. If you like watching the high limit stuff, if the big bets, the big jackpots, Sunday is your day. If you like watching the average bets, low bets, budget building, stuff like that, Monday is going to be your day. And then we'll have the regular episodes on Tuesdays and Fridays. So just keep that in mind. That is going to start being a change to the schedule that you will notice. So that way there's something for everybody and it's a little more organized because different people like different things. So, if you want to see videos on just playing on $100 or less, hey, now we have Mondays. That whole show is going to be designated just for that. And it's a lot of fun too. So just keep that in mind. That's going to start. You're going to notice things changing starting this upcoming Sunday on the 29th. So that's when you'll start noticing those changes. Okay. And we'll take just a couple more questions and then we'll go ahead and we will round out the show because we're at our hour mark. So we like to try to go for an hour. And thank you very much, Clara Joe. Really do appreciate it. And Steven says, if I went with a $1,000 bankroll to Vegas tomorrow, what denom do I start on with Dragon Link or Dragon Cash? So you've got $1,000. You want to start on Dragon Link or Dragon Cash. My follow-up question to that would be, how long are you going to be in Vegas for? If you're going to be in Vegas for just like a one night, one day, you're going to do something really quick, I would do, I wouldn't let your bet go over $5 just for the sake of time. But if you're going to be there multiple days and you want to play Dragon Cash or Dragon Link and you have $1,000, I'd actually break it up into smaller amounts. Maybe take, like a couple $100 the first night, maybe a little bit bigger budget on the second night. Then depending on how you do, the third night, kind of evaluate if you want to go back to smaller bets or if you want to go to something higher. So that's what I would do. But yeah, if you're going to do like a one day thing, I just wouldn't let your bet go over $5. So you could do that either penny level max bet, or you could do, well, hell, even 5-cent denom. The minimum on 5-cent denom Dragon Cash is what, $2.50. You could do that, or even minimum on 10-cent is $5 bet. So you could do something like that. Minimum 10-cent $5 bet. I'd probably do that. That's just my advice, what I would do. Anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and round out the show here. So again, just as a reminder, check out the website, ropethejackpot.com. There is a lot of information on there. There's a chat room. You guys can chat with each other. You can chat with myself. You can get different games that you're looking for. We'll try to do some more of these videos, some more of these question and answer videos. So really do appreciate you guys. Also, do keep in mind that the schedule is going to be changing. So you're going to start to notice that. So Sundays are going to be for high limits. That's what Sundays are going to be for. Mondays are going to be for the low limits, low bankroll, stuff like that. So keep that in mind. And again, we had so many great questions coming in tonight, and I apologize I couldn't get through to all the questions. But again, you can always leave your questions on the website, ropethejackpot.com. Really do appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in here tonight, and we'll try to do some more of these Q&A streams as well. Try to get back into it. But again, over 500-600 of you guys tuned in on Facebook and YouTube tonight, so really do appreciate it. Anyway, guys, have a wonderful rest of your night, rest of your week. Remember, all of our travel information is on the website, so be sure to check that out. Lots of good new stuff coming. I really do appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.